Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham. The U.S. is sending help to Nigeria in hopes of finding those 300 schoolgirls Muslim terrorists abducted. The crisis has become a global cause, with protesters rallying behind the slogan, "Bring back our girls." Aldea Hurd has the story.
Boko Haram took another 11 girls captive Monday night. That's on top of the 276 they're still holding after a raid on a school 3 weeks ago. Boko Haram's main goal is to establish an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria, which would allow for the establishment of Sharia law. Boko Haram has killed thousands of Christians and Muslims. This is their leader bragging about the kidnappings.
The more time goes by, I think the less likely it is that they will be rescued.
This girl is one of 53 who escaped. She says, "We thought they were soldiers and they asked us to board the vehicle which was headed toward Mboa. And my friends and I jumped from the vehicle and ran back home because we realized they didn't look innocent." President Obama says the U.S. has sent a collaboration cell to Nigeria.
They've accepted our help, a combination of military, law enforcement, and other agencies who are going in, trying to identify where, in fact, these girls might be and to provide them help.
In Washington, demonstrators gathered at the Nigerian embassy demanding the government there do more to find the girls. It says it has no idea where they are. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
The White House is denouncing pro-Russian insurgents' plan for a weekend vote on independence in eastern Ukraine. Anti-government leaders are pushing a referendum on autonomy in Donetsk and Luhansk. It is much like what happened back in March, when Moscow supported an independence referendum in the Crimean Peninsula. The vote led to Russia's annexation of the region. The Obama administration calls this latest referendum illegal, and it is urging all Ukrainians to vote on their future in nationwide elections that are now set for May 25th. The disintegrating situation in Ukraine has led to an increase in anti-Semitic attacks against Jews living in the country. As CBN's Chris Mitchell reports, many Jews are talking about escaping to Israel.
19 Ukrainian Jews arrived in Israel this week after escaping the violence engulfing their country. Others still wait and worry about relatives left behind.
I'm from Donetsk. I arrived to Israel in 1991 with my family. But still now I have in Donetsk my aunt. She's 86 and I'm very worried.
Elena Feingold works for the Jewish Agency, helping people come home to Israel.
For the Jewish people, it's different. And it's different in all cities. The one thing is common, that we feel that the Jews want to go to Israel.
In the early 1990s, more than 1 million Jews immigrated to Israel from the former Soviet Union, many of them from Ukraine. That tapered off, but now immigration from the Ukraine has risen more than 100% in the first months of this year. Friends Elena and Daria arrived on this week's flight.
Because it's a difficult situation in my country. I'm from Ukraine. That's why I'm here. And I love Israel. I've been here many times. I have relatives here. That's my country.
It's a hard situation. Every day people are dying there. I don't know if it's safe now to be there for Jews.
This flight was sponsored by the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem, which began helping Jews immigrate to Israel more than 25 years ago.
The embassy has already helped more than 40,000 Ukrainian Jews come home. Sometimes it was in times of conflict. This seems to be another occasion where Jews are endangered in Ukraine. There has been an increase in anti-Semitic attacks, and they're wanting to come home.
Parson sees this return as a part of biblical prophecy.
We do believe that the return of the Jewish people is fulfillment of God's promises to bring the Jews back. Even in the Hebrew prophets, it speaks of Gentiles assisting with this, and we see ourselves in Scripture as those Gentiles that God has beckoned to, as it says in Isaiah 49, to come help with the return of the Jews back to the land.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
A political crisis in Thailand is getting deeper. The country's constitutional court ordered the prime minister and most of her cabinet to resign. The court found her guilty of abusing her authority and pursuing a, quote, hidden agenda. Her supporters are planning a major rally this weekend to protest the decision. Some fear it will lead to violence. The Muslim Brotherhood will never return to Egypt. That's the decision of Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the former military chief who removed the Brotherhood's Islamist president last summer after millions protested against him. El-Sisi is almost certain to win the presidency in an upcoming election. In his first TV interview of his campaign, he said it is not him who is finished with the Brotherhood, but rather the Egyptian people. A judge in Pakistan has sentenced a Christian couple to death on false charges of blasphemy. The judge ordered their execution after convicting them for sending a text message critical of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Our Gary Lane has the details.
Scenes like these have become all too familiar in Pakistan. Militant Muslims go on a rampage, ready to beat and kill anyone simply accused of blasphemy against their holy book, faith, or prophet. Such was the response last July, when an imam in the city of Gojra accused Christian Shafkat Emmanuel and his wife Shagufta of texting him a blasphemous message against Muhammad. Police arrested and jailed the couple. Keith Davies of the group Rescue Christians says the allegations against the two are bogus.
The wife cannot write. She's illiterate. The husband is a cripple from his waist down, can't move. They had a cell phone that they lost, and they reported it missing to the owner of the store. The store manager testified in court that it was reported stolen and was reported missing to him.
Despite a lack of evidence, Shafkat and his wife were sentenced to death. Davies says Muslim extremists either bribed or intimidated both the prosecutor and judge assigned to the case.
We had people who had private meetings with the judge who said that, "You crazy, I have to convict, I have to sentence to death because otherwise I'll be killed."
Like Davies, Jeff King, president of International Christian Concern, believes the Christian couple will eventually be released.
Now the couple will sit in prison for the next 5 to 6 years until it reaches a high court. They're often released then if they're not killed in prison, though. And in the meantime, what happens with their kids?
They've been without their parents. Have they even been able to see the parents?
No, they cannot see the parents because they're also threatened with death because the extremists there want to kill the whole family.
And the grandfather is not a young man. I'm sure he's concerned about his health and the longevity of his ability to care for these children.
Yes, he's 86 years old, so he's not in a position to provide aid and to bring these children up. But our organization has the ability to help these children.
Pakistani Christians Shafkat and Shagufta are not alone. Others like Asia Bibi still waste away in prison, also accused of blasphemy, also sentenced to death.
Cases like this and some others make a lot of noise and they get some attention. But the tragedy is there's so many more and they're sitting quietly, no one knows about them.
What can be done? Both King and Davies say the U.S. government gives millions of dollars each year to Pakistan, and with that money comes political leverage to gain the release of those like Shafkat and Shagufta.
Our goal is to secure their release, and we're going to put as much pressure as we possibly can to try and do that.
We all know to pray, but at the same time, we've got to get on the phone with our legislators and say, what is going on? Without political pressure, strong political pressure, from the United States, it's not going to happen.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
A Sudanese warplane bombed a Catholic hospital in the Nuba Mountains of southern Sudan. Watch as the priest spots the plane and then runs for cover when it drops its bombs. The Islamic regime in Khartoum has waged war against black Africans and Christians in the Nuba region for decades. President Omar Bashir is wanted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Bishop Makram Maksgas has called on Bashir to protect the hospital from future attacks.
International law demands that civilians are protected during conflicts, but the attack on the hospital is a direct violation of this fundamental humanitarian principle. It is a violation of the sacredness of all human life, which we must protect at all costs.
The hospital was at triple capacity because the government is increasing its attacks to drive people from the region. One person was injured in that bombing. Public officials are reacting to the Supreme Court's ruling giving the green light to prayer at public meetings. In Carroll County, Maryland, a judge lifted his ban on prayers that mention Jesus after the court's ruling. But the American Humanist Association is asking him to reinstate it, saying the two cases are different. County commissioners say they'll make a decision whether to continue the prayers later this week. Meanwhile, the mayor of Rapid City, South Dakota, says his town will start holding prayers again. He says the ruling ends any debate on the issue. The Ohio teacher who was fired for refusing to remove religious materials from his classroom is taking his case to the U.S. Supreme Court. 8th grade science teacher John Freshwater had a Bible, Christian books, and a poster of a president praying. The Ohio Supreme Court ruled last November the public school district was right to fire him for refusing to remove those materials. But that court ruled the school should not have forced him to remove his personal Bible from his desk. Freshwater's attorney says the case's most significant constitutional issues still need to be resolved. President Obama is visiting tornado-ravaged communities in Arkansas today. He'll meet with the victims, local officials, and emergency personnel. Meanwhile, Operation Blessing continues helping victims of last week's severe weather in Mississippi and Florida. In Tupelo, they have teamed up with the church to help clean up and repair homes of residents damaged by the tornadoes. In Pensacola, a group of U.S. Navy volunteers has joined Operation Blessing to help with flood cleanup. Many Christian music lovers will recognize a liturgy, a legacy, and a ragamuffin band. But a ragamuffin band movie we'll explain coming up next.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
Pat Boone here with some good news you can trust. Today, our faith, families, and our freedoms are under attack. Polls say 2 out of 3 Americans no longer trust government. A stalled economy, weakening dollar, and politicians willing to steal money from our children to waste on unfixable problems. So, whom can you trust? Well, our money still says in God we trust. But do we? Or have we quietly allowed the things we hold sacred to be stolen by the enemies of traditional values? Today, our government spends almost twice its income, running up a tab for future generations into the hundreds of trillions. How can you stop this from happening to your family? Well, it's all covered in a fantastic new book, The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Dr. Lowell Ponte. Every American needs to read this book. Why don't you call now for a free copy of The Great Withdrawal? It's the simple truth you can trust.
The story of Christian music legend Rich Mullins is out this week on DVD. Ragamuffin tells the life story of Mullins, who died in a car accident back in 1997.
I want to do this one.
Amy Grant heard your song singing praise to the Lord. She wants to use it on her next album.
No, I'm not trying to be a Christian pop star, just trying to say something true.
Mullins was recently inducted into the Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame. Go to cbnnews.com for details on where to find the movie. For now, here's Mark Martin with more about it.
And joining me now is David Mullins, Rich Mullins' younger brother. Welcome, David.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you for your time today. How close to true is this movie about Rich's life, his struggles, and his ministry?
You know, it's pretty close. It's pretty accurate, I think. One of the challenges that you face in this kind of deal is the movie covers about 35 years of life. And so, you know, you kind of pick, this is a story that we want to tell from it.
Well, Rich never made any pretense of being a perfect Christian, and the movie clearly shows his struggles in wrestling with sin and God. How does this movie communicate how God's love helped Rich through all that?
I think the movie is a picture of God's work in his life. Now, the thing about it is it's not as neat as we would like it to be. I think sometimes our brokenness and healing are intermingled more than you're broken, then you meet Jesus, and then you're healed and everything is wonderful from that point on, and you don't have any more struggles.
What do you think he would say to young Christian artists today?
Well, I think he would say be real, one. But the other thing I heard him say a number of times to people who would, aspire to be in the Christian music business and have a contract and, do all of that. If God has called you to sing, then sing. Do it honestly, and see what he does with it.
Well, what would you say is your favorite song by Rich?
Wow, that changes all the time. But there's a number that are always up there high. Probably right now, If I Stand would be one that I'm most drawn to. But The Color Green is always up there. Creed, Hold Me Jesus, a lot of them that, a lot of people really like. Calling Out Your Name, sometimes by Step. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite is Awesome God. I remember as a young person singing that song as we were on a missions trip and getting ready to go out into the field and minister to people. It's such a powerful song. It just gets you right in the heart. Well, he definitely has a legacy. How do you believe that legacy will live on today?
The impact, I think, of his writing, but the writing, I think, comes out of his pursuit of God and God's pursuit of him that you see in the movie. And so his life and writing, for me, are always tied. And I think, if people hear about his life, hear the songs that he wrote and the place that came from, I think that's the legacy that I think he'll leave. And continue to.
Well, David Mullins, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and insights into your brother and the amazing life that he led and the legacy that he continues to leave. Thank you again for letting us into that world a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be on.
Coming up, it is cheaper and cleaner way to make gasoline, and it'll create jobs right here in the U.S. So why is the government standing in the way? We'll hear from both sides of the Cold War. It's coming up next.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
The Obama administration is more certain than ever. Global warming is changing the daily lives of Americans, and it is going to get worse. That is the conclusion from a massive new government report. The White House will likely use the report as a basis to try to reduce the emissions of fossil fuels like coal, gas, and oil. But Republicans and some Democrats have opposed many of those moves in the past, saying they cost jobs and hurt businesses. But President Obama will use executive orders to accomplish his goals. That report raises a familiar question. Is the White House waging a war on coal? The Obama administration denies it, but the industry is fighting for its future against new federal regulations. Coal is getting more expensive to mine, and those tough rules are scaring potential investors away from groundbreaking projects. But could this natural resource of the past be America's future? CBN's Caitlin Burke has more.
This is the vision for the Adams Fork coal-to-liquid plant in Mingo County, West Virginia. Developers believe it could literally change how the U.S. does business.
The refinery that we're going to build that will take coal and create gasoline will do it cheaper and cleaner than taking petroleum and making gasoline.
America is the world's #1 importer of crude oil, holding that title for almost 50 years. Much of that oil becomes gasoline to keep our cars and trucks running. When the price of oil goes up, so does the price at the pump. But what if we had what it took to make gasoline right here in the U.S.? According to the BP review of world energy, we do, in the form of the world's largest coal reserves. The developers of the Adams Fork plant say converting coal into liquid fuel would pave the way towards energy independence. Their goal is to produce 250 million gallons of methanol that could be used as gasoline, jet fuel, diesel fuel, and more.
This wide open space that you see all around me is where that liquid coal plant should already be. But after years of fighting federal regulations, project coordinators say it won't be open until 2016. And because of the EPA, investors are still afraid.
Project coordinators say coal investments are labeled as risky. The Obama administration portrays it as a dirty energy source, while the EPA continues to pile on new regulations. The EPA justified its actions to CBN News with the following statement. EPA's ongoing challenge is to address pollution from coal and take steps to protect our nation's children and families from toxic air pollutants like mercury, arsenic, and nickel. Pollutants that put Americans, especially children, at risk for developmental disorders and respiratory illnesses like asthma. Plant developer Adam Victor simply calls that message inaccurate.
The EPA and the environmentalists are creating a problem that doesn't exist. I just came back from Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't breathe because of the burning of coal in Soviet-era style power plants. That's pollution. That is something that should be outlawed, banned, remediated, okay? We don't have that issue over here. And we basically have the highest standard of living in the world, and we still have beautiful and pristine skies.
The president of the West Virginia Coal Association, Bill Rainey, agrees. He says Washington doesn't recognize the industry's progress.
It's got a long history, and people rely on that history to refer to it as a dirty fossil fuel. And you do. You get your hands black when you touch it, and it's dusty. But we've learned how to control the dust, and we're getting better every day.
When the Adams Fork plant is up and running, Victor says it will be strong proof of clean coal technology by almost zero emissions. Mingo County welcomes this opportunity. It's prepared for a liquid coal plant for years, and as Victor searched for a place to build, Mingo County came up with the land and infrastructure needed for the project.
Picking southern West Virginia, Mingo County in particular, has been such a godsend for us because the last 20 years we've prepared for this moment. Not knowing what this moment was going to be, but we prepared for this moment in our minds and in our dreams and our visions.
State and local leaders say the liquid coal plant will help revive the local economy, bringing thousands of jobs to the area. And locals agree. They're hoping that families will stay put instead of moving out of state to find work.
Some of our best and brightest leave here because we just don't have the opportunities for them in their chosen profession or occupation or vocation. They go elsewhere, and we're trying to create that market here so our kids don't have to leave.
The Adams Fork plant will bring more than 3,000 jobs during construction over the next 4 to 5 years. 300 people will work full-time here when it's complete. Victor hopes Adams Fork and 2 proposed plants in Kentucky could eventually lead to a national synthetic fuels program. Realistically, however, he says that's an impossible dream as long as the EPA continues to exist in its current form.
When people oppose the coal industry, they should really think long and hard and take a history lesson on how important that coal and that steel has been to American civilization and American freedom and the freedom of all Western democracies. The Panama Canal was built by steel that was made from coal that came from West Virginia. Imagine the world without the Panama Canal. And by the way, if you had an EPA, do you think you could have permitted the Panama Canal?
Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help Caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how InventHelp may be able to assist you, call now. InventHelp is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call InventHelp today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Millions of viewers tuned in to watch the first episode TV broadcast of CBN Superbook in Cambodia. The Superbook episode, The Last Supper, aired on Palm Sunday, and He Is Risen aired on Easter on a popular Cambodian network. Many churches across the country included the viewing of the Easter special in their Sunday school classes. Superbook continues to air each week within the CBN's children's program, Super Kids Club. Well, that is going to do it for us right now here on CBN News Today. Remember, you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. Take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a wonderful Wednesday, everybody.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.